Well, good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the Sunrise Report. I'm Brian Stuskett alongside my colleague Chad Moyer as we join you from the Nebraska Ag Expo. Great to be back here once again, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the 17th year for the Nebraska Ag Expo. Of course, it's had a couple of names along that time, and it has certainly grown, and it has done that again this year. The various parts of the show have grown, and maybe one thing we should mention is the name change, not for the show, but where it's being held, right?
Yeah, you mentioned the Nebraska Ag Expo several years now into its latest name, and the building we're standing in has a new name as of December 1st. So the Lancaster Event Center is now the Sand Hills Global Event Center. A little bit of a change. You'll notice it on some signs.
Yeah, and you'll also notice that we used to have the pavilions. It was just Pavilion 1, Pavilion 2, Pavilion 3. Now each of those buildings, they have a name unto themselves as well. But don't worry about it. You don't have to know exactly where everything is right now. They put up a lot of signages. There's these direction towers, I think they call them. And basically any business that you've come familiar with and you know is going to be here where they were last year, they'll likely be there again this year, right?
Well, and some of those businesses are a pretty good reference point, Chad. If somebody calls and says, where are you at? Well, I'm not far from the DeWalt tools. Okay, I know exactly where I'm going if that's the case. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a fun aspect of this show. Well, speaking of the show, there's lots of things happening this year, and we had a chance to catch up with Cindy Feldman. Of course, she's in charge of marketing with the Nebraska Ag Expo and the parent company that manages. So let's learn about some of the new things happening at this year's show. Lots happening as always, and this is a sold-out show. Space is very limited, and a lot of people want to get inside this show.
Yeah, we've got 90 on the waiting list already for this year. We're trying to get in for next year. It's a sold-out show. Hopefully, it'll be the biggest and best one yet. We're in our 17th year here at the Nebraska Ag Expo.
And those 17 years have grown to become the second largest indoor farm show. And then it's not just a farm show, though. You've got some unique elements, like behind us, we stand in the Expo Edu stage.
Yeah, the Expo Edu is in the Livestock Pavilion, which is formerly Pavilion 3 in the cafe area. And it's home to 14 great egg talks over the next 3 days. They start at 10 and end at 2 p.m. And they end at 1 p.m. on Thursday.
Okay. I'm sure as part of the program, people can see a full list of those, but also in this same building is the Innovation Hub. That was quite popular last year.
Yeah, actually our show is the only show that brings innovation together in a large area, so you can view it in one space and know where to find it. We've got over 30,000 square feet, 75 exhibitors. We've got companies as far away as Canada exhibiting in there. Things that you have never seen before that have either gone to market or are still in concept stage, but will go to market eventually.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to walk through there, and certainly encourage everyone to do so. Before we go, what advice would you give people coming out to this year's Nebraska Ag Expo?
Parking is free. If you want to get your tickets in advance, save $5 by going to nebraskaagexpo.com and purchasing them in advance. Enter any entrance, just be aware of which building you're in so you can find your car when you get done. There's a lot more food choices this year than any other year. So we've got pizza, Chick-fil-A, barbecue, hot dogs, we've got walking tacos, there's cinnamon rolls. So just look around, there's food in every building.
Well, thanks very much there, Bryce. And, you know, like she said, that's one of the aspects of this show that has gotten bigger. The footprint of this show has gotten bigger over time. We're up to just over 9 acres under cover here at the Sand Hills Global Event Center. But the Innovation Hub, that has gotten bigger, especially from last year to this year.
I don't know the exact number of how many they had last year, exhibitors that is, part of that inaugural year, but this year more than 75 different businesses and products you can see out here at the Nebraska Ag Expo. We had a chance to visit with a few of them leading into this show, and one of the trends I noticed, Chad, is I was talking with someone from France, Australia, and Canada. They were not just a U.S. show down here at the Nebraska Ag Expo anymore. People from all across the world are hearing about the second largest indoor farm show.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's drawing from a lot of different areas in the country, and ag tech, that gets a lot of talk, right? What are the new and interesting things being used in agriculture? One of those things, precision agriculture within livestock production. You had an opportunity to talk to somebody about that, so let's go ahead and learn more about that.
Well, let's learn about another company headed down to the Nebraska Ag Expo. This one is called Wandering Shepherd. Sheldon joins us now. With a name like that, I'm curious what you do, Sheldon.
We've developed a wireless rumen bolus. We're a safe and secured centralized electronic data. We provide livestock records, and we can do a smart livestock management. It allows ranchers to monitor their herds without having to physically be there. Our cattle are fitted with our proprietary bolus. It's placed in a rumen, and it contains technology that monitors temperature and location of free-ranging herds.
So talk to me about the process of implementing this into your herd. What's that look like, the implementation?
It's very simple. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. We can put the bolus in with our specially designed balling gun when we're processing cattle, and once we have the device in, it's very simple when you're processing cattle.
It's always interesting to learn about some of the companies that are going to be part of this year's Nebraska Ag Expo and where they fall kind of on the development phase of their product. For you guys at Wandering Shepherd, do you have people out and about up in Canada and across the United States that have implemented this into their herds?
Yes, we've done some pilot projects and some trials, some field trials, and we're looking at doing some more down in the U.S. We're looking to do some pre-sales and get some folks signed up to do some more trials on their ranches down in Nebraska.
Understanding you're making the trip from Canada down to Lincoln, Nebraska to attend the Nebraska Ag Expo. Dates are on the screen, December 5th through the 7th. What are you most looking forward to about this show, Sheldon?
Well, we're really looking forward to displaying what we can do for ranchers. Our benefits are include early warning signs of illness and calving, labor, breeding for heat detection, reduce labor cost. We can overall reduce the treatment costs and reduce livestock loss. We have a fully automated system and early detection of illness and that type of thing, whether it's something as simple as mastitis or pneumonia. We could prevent disease outbreak with something like foot and mouth. Our early detection is key, and we can locate a lost or sick animal anytime, anywhere, any place type of a thing. So we're pretty excited about being able to lower ranchers' treatment costs, and it's a great labor savings and prevention, and certainly something that is going to reduce folks having to cull and reduce mortality issues and losses. So it's a loss prevention for livestock.
A lot of fun to learn about that company called Wandering Shepherd, based out of Canada, down here this week during the Nebraska Ag Expo. Well, Chad and I join you at this exact moment from what's known as the Expo Edu stage. Chad, you got a chance last year, and you're going to do so again this year. You're going to help MC and get into the presentation. So what is this stage?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just been great to learn all of the different topics that are on display and being talked about at the Expo Edu stage. And throughout the show, and there's multiple programs each day. Wednesday, of course, has the biggest run, but there are some today. We'll talk about those in a moment. But it is a place where you can come and learn about what is going on in agriculture, some of those new things, that new technology that's available in agriculture today, but then maybe going back to the basics of farming as well. And for example, some of the topics on today's Expo Edu stage talks about fertilizer efficiency, ways to reduce input costs, use that fertilizer dollar more efficiently. What about utilizing the microbes that are already in the soil? Regenerative agriculture, that's going to be talked about here today as well. And then one of the sponsors of the show, Farm Credit Services of America, they'll be putting on a program here today as well about succession and the next generation of agriculture, keeping that farm in the family. How do you do that successfully? Family communications, succession planning, doing all of that before you are forced into a decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an important conversation. It'll happen here on the Expo Edu stage. Also want to tease up, if you're coming to the show on Thursday, you can see Chad host a podcast we call Grain IQ. People see on the stage every day, but that'll be a big presentation on Thursday. We'll talk, of course, more about that as that day draws near. Well, back on some of the exhibitors this year, one of those that's going to be in the Innovation Hub is a company called Smooth Ag. They're based out of Texas. I visited with them, and what's interesting to note is their product was the most viewed pre-show spotlight that we do, so clearly they're onto something. Let's check out that segment now with the Ranch Rover. What are you guys doing down there in Texas with Smooth Ag, Hunter?
What we're doing at Smooth Ag is connecting the biological world of the ranch with technology. River and I, my business partner, we co-founded this company, thinking about producers. When we look at the technological landscape, we saw a really great opportunity to do some work for ranchers. And that's where the Ranch Rover, the world's first autonomous rangeland feeder, fully robotic system that goes out and cakes cows. And, we're just really excited about what we're doing and bridging that gap. So not only are we collecting data for ranchers to use, but we're also able to, actually do some work for ranchers. And we thought that hit home for the people that we work for, which are producers, being able to thin out some of that workload that ranchers have.
What all can this device you call the Ranch Rover do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it shows up to work every day when you tell it to, and that's probably the most important for the producers listening. But it feeds cows. You can do a mixed ration. So think about distillers' grains, or you got grain products or cake. It can feed into troughs. It can count your cattle for you. And it's equipped with various sensors, which are options for customers to collect weather data, collect pasture and forage health data. Really, we're looking at it as, a digital rancher. So it's got its own eyes through machine vision. So it's taking a look at your ranch and it's collecting data. And as we've been working with our customers, we've been learning what's more important to them. Not only being able to put eyes on the cattle and, make sure that they're all there, but having a video feed for our ranchers to look at so they can identify any sick animals or missing animals. Namely, I think something that we've been working on here behind the scenes is predation. So, being able to get a count of coyotes is a pretty important thing to a lot of ranchers during calving season. If they have a coyote problem, it'd be really nice to know how many. So really, we're just creating, a digital pair of eyes that allow a rancher to work on their pens or do things in the office or go to a kid's football or volleyball game and just kind of free up some of that time that ranchers so desperately need.
We always talk about farm shows in the context of people like to kick the tires on new equipment coming out. I suppose the same is true when it comes to ag innovation. Hunter, for your display at the Nebraska Ag Expo, will people be able to see the Ranch Rover?
Yes, sir. So we've graciously have been given some really awesome ground space there at the expo. We're gonna have a 20 by 20 booth that will feature the Ranch Rover. You'll be able to take a look at the preview of what we're going to be providing our customers, from the diesel engine to the solid steel platform. Ranchers get a nice feel of what we're working with and really see the robust system in place.
Again, very interesting concept, interesting discussion there, and it kind of goes back to what you said before, I think, because we talked to somebody from Canada, we talked to somebody from Texas, and all points in between represented here at the Nebraska Ag Expo. Hours today are from 8:30 until 4 o'clock. It's 8:30 until 4 again tomorrow, and just a little shorter on Thursday. But we definitely look forward to seeing a lot of people here, right?
Yeah, no doubt about that. If you're coming out to the show, want to save a little money, you can get it registered online at the website, NebraskaAgExpo.com. Certainly encourage you to do so if you're coming out to the show today. And stop by. If you see Chad and I wandering around out at the show, you can say hi, I guess.
I was just going to say, what are you going to say? Tackle us?
Buy
us a coffee? I don't know. Whatever the spirit moves you to do. We appreciate it.
And we also appreciate you joining us here on the Sunrise Report. We're going to have a little bit of fun ahead of each day of the show, so we appreciate you joining us today and invite you back the next 2 days of the Nebraska Ag Expo. Final thoughts, Chad Moyer?
17th year, it looks great. There's a lot here. It just looks better every year. They find a little way to improve it each and every year. Something that we haven't talked about, every farmer likes, there's more food offerings at the Ag Expo this year too.
Yeah, that's a great aspect. We'll see you out here at the Nebraska Ag Expo.